Hi, how old are you?
I'm 18 years old, ma'am.
I have a feeling this is gonna not be fruitful.
What year were you born?
2005, December the 23rd.
Okay. Do you think trans women are women?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because they're just men playing dressed up as women.
What's a woman?
A person that can give birth.
So my mom isn't a woman. She can't give birth.
Okay.
Yep. So, do you want to change your
And
definition?
also,
Hold on. Hold
and
on.
also
Not
assigned
also. Not,
gender.
hold on. Not also. We're on one point. We're on one point. Do you want to acknowledge the point that Annie made and either acknowledge that your criterion sucks?
Oh, my fault. Assigned gender. There you go.
No. Don't like try to use buzzwords that you think are going to appeal to us or something.
What are you
That's
talking
no. What
about?
happened was you said that what it means to be a woman is to be able to give birth, but we pointed
Yeah.
out that someone like Annie's mom can't, or like other people that are infertile. So, is it? Are you going to stick with that definition and bite the bullet
Nah,
and say,
I'd rather change it to assigned gender. There we go. That's better.
Assigned gender? What does that
a
Yeah,
mean?
woman
the
is
one
an
that you were
assigned
given at
gender?
birth. The one that you were given at birth.
Oh, you're talking
That's your
about
gender.
sex?
You're talking
Yeah.
about sex, okay?
Biological sex? Like you're assigned sex at birth?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how you identify.
What? So yeah, so a trans woman would be like biologically male.
Nah, it's just
Yeah.
them. It's just them showing signs of their early stages of mental illness.
What are
Uh,
you talking about? So they would be biologically male, but woman would be a gendered term in this case. That's how I'm using it. If you're just saying woman is what did you say someone that can give birth, now you're changing it to what biological female? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, you're
Okay.
biological, the one that you were born
Yeah,
with.
biologically female. So that's not what I'm saying when I say woman. I'm using it in a gendered term, like in a gendered sense. Gender identity can like differ from your biological sex.
So why would you say a trans woman is a woman?
So I define woman probably different than you do because it doesn't seem like you have a definition for it. But woman, my view is that a woman is someone who's an adult human person who's going to be in accordance or have commitments to characteristics that are associated with the female sex typically.
I mean, that's your definition, I guess.
So we would just be having a difference in definitions. And do you have an issue with my definition? And would you agree that under that view they would be women?
Yeah, because we're worried about a semantic versus a substantive dispute, and if it's semantic, then we care about the substantive part. So do you? Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of just a little bit too liberal, but
Oh,
Are you
okay.
a troll? People are saying you're a
Yeah, I
troll.
had a feeling it was probably a troll, but I mean, it's still educational.
That's
I don't
true,
even
yeah.
know any of these people in the comments, bro. I
Okay,
don't
I'm
know who
just
these
wondering.
people are.
Because saying that it's a liberal definition isn't like a critique on the definition.
Yeah, look, and like I'll help you out in the future. Like, you just want to know what people mean by terms. You're not going to be able to like pull a definition out of the air and go, "This is the right one," because that it doesn't make sense to go like, "This is the right definition." Like the only sense that correctness makes sense with words is like common usage among competent speakers of the language. So that's what dictionaries are for. But like, you wouldn't be wrong to be like, well, I use this term this way and it's not in the dictionary. Like, you're totally free to use terms the ways that you want. What matters is like what's being expressed there. Do you disagree with? And in this case, it's like, these characteristics that you would identify with. It seems like you probably possess those concept or that concept, and you probably deploy that concept.
So let's see. So I hear like a lot of like trans people, right? Uh, say that they should be able to go into what's called women's
We're not
bathrooms.
doing the bathroom thing
Okay,
right
so
now.
can you just tell me whether or not you agree that under
Absolutely not.
Hold on, stop. I didn't even fucking ask the question. What are you doing?
I'm answering your question. I'm answering your question.
This is funny.
Okay.
What do you want me to say?
Hold on.
Let's
Okay.
go, Brandon.
Let's go. Bro. Okay, so would you agree, yes or no, that like under the definition that I gave you, that trans women are women?
Absolutely not. Because that just sounds like some. I don't know where you even found that definition.
Well, hold on.
That sounds like some Democrat wrote it.
Some Democrat. I want to be serious, but I don't think it's serious. I want to come in with something like a serious point, but
Like
now
that's
but now I'm like, I don't even know if I should.
Absolutely not. I fucking cut me off. Said absolutely not.
I'm not even trying to be like rude or anything, but it sounds like Kamala wrote that definition.
Okay, yeah,
Doesn't make any sense.
That's funny. That's ridiculous. Kamala wrote that. What is happening?
Sounds like Kamala wrote that definition.
Armando.
I'm gonna cry.
This guy's jacked.
I mean, I wish I was jacked.
Yeah, your voice doesn't match the picture.
No, it does not, right? It does not at all.
I mean, mine wouldn't match it either, so I don't mean anything by it.
But I do wish I was jacked though.
That's funny. All right.
How old are you?
So a quick question, right? Before I
Well, we just want to make sure how old you are.
Oh yes, sir. Whatever you guys are. 33.
You're in the damn close ballpark.
Yeah, my apologies if I'm not.
You're good.
I'm actually new to TikTok, right? And check this out. Look, I got nothing against the trans people, right? I think you guys should be able to do as you please, right? Isn't that what everyone should do?
What's happening?
We're not really. I mean, like, that stuff's all nice, but we're wondering if you think trans women are women.
Well, okay, so here's the one single thing that I'm hoping you guys could school me on, right? And there's this thing about like where we let trans people go into actual like women's washroom and stuff like that.
Oh my god, I don't want to get into the bathroom stuff. Is just
Oh, well, my bad. If it's a bad topic, I don't want to bring it up. I'm sorry.
We can.
it's
The
just
problem.
nice. It's okay.
Yeah.
No, we could skip it. I'm sorry. I
it's
I
so
feel bad.
my apologies, guys. I didn't mean to disrespect both of you.
No, you're good. So the thing is that you said you're new to TikTok. The thing is, like, when there's a background, I kind of like you'll want to stick to that topic, but it's good if you want to ask.
Well, because at the end of the day, I don't have anything against you trans, right? I just that one thing though that bothers me is the bathroom thing.
Why does it? Okay, so I can basically with that, like, there's gonna be a lot more information out there that'll support that trans women using the women's restroom is actually not posing a threat to anyone, and also is gonna reduce trans women being at harm, like going into the men's bathroom.
I've never understood this argument. What prevents like any crazy person just going to a bathroom?
Yeah, and there's not going to be
no sense to me. I just never understood this. Like, oh, there's an open door I can go in and go stab some people and like harm children. Like, you can just do that. Like, I don't understand what's preventing someone from doing that as a man. Like, I don't know. You know how many men want to touch little boys?
Yeah, there's nothing to show that there's going to be like a threat from trans women being in the women's bathroom. But yeah, like I said, like the men's bathroom is going to pose like a huge threat to trans women. So if you're forcing trans women to use the men's bathroom, you're just forcing them to be in harm's way.
Yeah. At that point, it's what.
And if like the worst thing is that like someone is uncomfortable as opposed to someone literally being harmed in the men's bathroom, like I don't know what to tell you about that point. I think it's pretty obvious what should happen from there. But on top of that, like, I think
Well, I
it's
think they
kind
should
of
make a
well, it's
bathroom just for you guys.
sorry, what? No,
Wouldn't it be
that's
fair if
no.
they just made
You're
a bathroom
talking
just for
about
you
like
guys?
no.
No? Why
That's
not?
gonna be no. That's
So
you're
why do
talking
you want to
about
be
like
in
no.
someone
Hold
else's
on, you're
space so
talking about
much?
like civil rights era type shit. Like you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
want
yeah.
to get
But you
into
should have
that.
your own bathroom, no?
No, you're talking about
I
like
feel
black
like you
people
should
should
have
have
your
their
own
own
bathroom.
bathroom. Like no, you
You
don't.
deserve your own
No,
bathroom.
you do not designate.
I would fight for you to have your own bathroom, you know that?
What are you talking about? Trans people
Like
having their own
anyone that goes
bathroom?
against you having
Trans
your own
people having
bathroom,
their own
I'll be like,
bathroom.
what? Are you serious?
You're talking about trans people having their own bathroom, correct?
Yes, their very own.
Okay, you realize that like that's
As you should. You guys do
why are you
deserve your own
cutting?
bathroom.
Shut the fuck up! Stop.
Fuck you, bitch. What the fuck?
Excuse me?
Don't disrespect me like that and don't get disrespected right back.
No, hold on. What?
Yeah, fuck you. I'm from Chicago, bitch. I don't play that shit.
You don't know where I'm
Suck
from.
my dick.
Well, you like it.
Well, no, never mind. If you're a man, I don't want that. I'm not gay.
I'm a woman. Trans women are
thank
women.
God. Thank God for that.
So you would like it because trans women are women.
No, it wouldn't make sense. I want it
You
done
like
by
it.
someone I love.
So if you loved a trans woman, you would like.
No, that'd be disrespectful because I wouldn't betray myself like that.
So if you loved a trans woman, you would like
I'm
it.
interested in that guy's search history, to be honest.
Oh my god.
I feel like femboy might be in there and like trans might be in a search history. I was curious. They're women in those situations, but not in others. So, like, I feel like a lot of these like bigots. You know what I mean?
Oh my god. I was like, am I lagging? Is he cutting me off continuously on purpose?
I
but then I was like, wait.
I get the text message patrol and he's like, oh, I can vote for you. I was like, he seemed nice.
Well,
at
that
first.
was yeah. Yeah, he did seem really nice.
He's
at first. How did he
building.
do that?
He's building it up.
He was really good at that.
Yeah, we try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but you know, doesn't always work.
You should become like a cult leader or something. Just kidding. I'm sorry. I don't mean that. How old are you? Hi. Sorry. Armor, how old are you?
45.
Cool. Do you believe trans women are women?
Not exactly.
Okay, what do you mean?
I mean, what makes them women? Because they look like one?
No, so how are you defining woman?
Oh, woman's an adult female that possesses the XX chromosome. So if trans women are female, should they be adult women with XX chromosomes as well?
Okay, so that's not how I'm defining woman. If you're just saying that woman is like adult human female, I would
Yes.
agree that would not be correct because
Why
trans
that's not
women are
correct?
not female. They are biologically male. But woman, I'm using that in a gendered sense. Like,
A gender sense.
yeah, so biologically female refers to biological sex. When I say woman,
Yes.
I'm talking about gender.
As gender, I mean, it doesn't matter gender-wise.
Yeah, so when I say woman, I mean someone who is going to be an adult human who is typically in accordance with characteristics that are associated with the female sex. So it's going to be like a social and cultural role in society.
Okay, with that statement you just made, what makes trans women women?
Exactly what I just said. What are you confused about with what I just said?
I'm very confused.
Okay.
When you go
I never met.
when you go to the store, when you go to the store and you say thank you, ma'am, do you ask for their chromosomes or gametes or anything like that? The thing that you think is a sufficiency criterion, or do you possess
See,
the concept?
I can tell the difference between a man and a woman.
Well, I'm not convinced that that's a clear cut case. But hold on,
It could
do
be.
you, hold on. But do you do that? So like you're telling me that you perceive the XX chromosomes when you look at somebody and their gametes, you can perceive that without
If I
looking and
perceive
checking
they're
under the hood. You can.
female, if they got the characteristics of a female, I usually do, unless they choose.
Yeah,
to
you
tell
should.
me
Let's
wrong.
sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, they would have like characteristics in a certain sense of the terms, but so you would yeah.
Yeah, so if you say usually do, right, it's not going to be the case that every time you've done that, you've like gotten it right and perceived the XX and perceived the gametes and perceived all of that, right? It's likely you've said that, like, thank you, sir, I had a trans. I do a show with somebody that's trans. I didn't even know they were trans until like 2 episodes doing a show with them. Right. So like, it's not like this whole thing that you perceive that is insane. It's ridiculous. Right.
No,
But
it's not. Because if I
well,
say,
hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Real quick. Because the question is when you go to the store, you don't explicitly ask for those things, right? And it's just clearly true that you don't. Thank you for the whatever.
Thank you for the baby ghosts. They're so cute.
But you don't ask to have them lift up your skirt before you say thank you, ma'am, right? You don't do that.
who does that?
Exactly. So what I'm convinced is that you do possess this concept in this kind of social or cultural understanding of women, and that there are certain characteristics or traits that you do perceive that are shared with our concept, and that's what we mean by woman. And that's why I'm saying like that. I think people are deploying, like yourself. I think you are deploying this concept. I think you do it every day, and I think that you've had cases where you've probably looked at a trans person's ass and said, "What a nice ass," right? And like recognized it as a woman's body that you're attracted to, right? I think that you probably do deploy this concept. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, do you live anywhere in the South?
I do. I live in Atlanta.
Well, you should have known this. If you know that you live in the South, by South etiquette, you usually say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. Correct?
Sure. Well, yeah, but you see, there's a distinction there, and I will say one or the other typically to some people. I mean, we're leaving out like non-binary people at the moment, but we're just trying to get these clear-cut cases, just try to make it easy to understand.
But yet, when you say that, have you ever been corrected?
I have been corrected before.
How many times? How often?
No.
Okay, so that lets you know that rarely happens that you
No,
get
because someone doesn't explicitly correct
Yeah,
me.
trans people aren't like they're like a small part of the population.
very small.
Yeah, so are like gingers. Like,
So I'm more likely, it's just like saying I'm more likely to find a
yeah.
dime in the street.
The point is that I'm saying is that you like what this is a kind of pull back the curtain. What I think when people do this is like they're thinking like there's not sufficient and necessary and sufficient criterion for like a woman that they have on offer, but they can give like sufficient criterion or sufficient things that make someone a woman. And what I'm saying is that when me and you do that, like what Annie provided to you, what I provided to you, you check all of those things off as well. You check all of those kind of characteristics that are associated there. But what you don't do when you're at the store is check off the chromosome box, and you don't check off the gamete box, and you don't check off the organ box, or like whether or not they can reproduce box and all that kind of, you don't go down a lot of those physical characteristics. You don't do that. And so it's really hard for me to believe that other people that hold this view don't possess the same concept, and in fact aren't deploying the concept, right? I think that people that are, my view, right, this is an empirical claim, but my view is that people that are like transphobic really are just a walking contradiction. They're a performative contradiction because they recognize the concept but deny it. It's like coming up to someone and saying like, I'm dead, right? You're alive in order to have to say that statement. And I think when someone's like, oh, this is a woman, they have to like do this performative contradiction where they're actually providing the exact concept and then not adding the additional stuff, right? So I just think that you do possess the concept, and maybe you could show me I'm wrong. Maybe you can show me how you perceive XX and you perceive gametes, but I'm really confident that that's not happening.
Why is that not happening?
Because look, have you ever perceived somebody with like what's that fucking syndrome?
Sawyer syndrome?
Yes, Sawyer syndrome. I can never say it. Have you ever
What is
perceived
the
someone with
chances
Sawyer
of you gonna meet
syndrome?
a woman with the Swire syndrome?
Swire. I always say it wrong. It's like SEWYER, right?
Yes, I know what you're talking about. But what are the odds of you meeting a woman with Swire syndrome?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
What are the odds are you meeting a woman with Swire syndrome?
What are the odds of you meeting a trans person? Like that's the whole thing. It's, like it's gonna be low, but that doesn't mean anything. You can still accommodate
means a lot.
when it happens. Like
If I see a woman with a beard, I definitely know who she is and what she has.
What? No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Entire. How would you? What? Hold on. What?
That's just begging
If
the
I see
question.
your
That's
mama
actually
with a
just begging.
beard,
That's actually just begging the question.
Yeah.
The thing in
no, the thing is this.
hold on.
You
That's
gotta
just
have a
begging. That's actually
distinction of
question. That's
character.
question begging, right? That's question begging because
No,
the
it's
whole
not. There's no
point, the
such thing
whole
as question begging.
Yeah.
it
No.
is
That's
the whole
yeah.
thing. The whole thing in question, the whole thing in contention is that thing, and you just assume the truth of it. That's question begging. That's assuming you're
Yeah.
assuming the thing that you're
And
trying
this
to
a
get
new
to.
word.
New word. You don't
A
know
new
what
man
question begging
question
is?
begging.
Like question begging is you're assuming the thing that you're trying to argue for, like right in your premises or in your argument. You're not actually like reasoning to that. So like when you begged the question when you said when you insisted on that that perception, right? You begged the question that or like with the beard thing, like you're begging the question in that case that they are that way when you're not arguing for it. You're just assuming that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
What you mean assuming? I
You didn't
know.
argue.
I know.
You didn't justify anything. You just stated it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing in question.
You saying that you know what kind of fucking genitalia someone has, like, it doesn't.
Say that. I did not say
That's the
that.
whole thing. Like, that's the whole thing is that we're saying you wouldn't know.
Well, let me ask you this: is your mother trans?
What are you talking about? How does that have anything to do with whether or not, like?
Well, you since you saying trans women are women, then your mother trans?
My woman or my mom can be a woman, and trans women can still be women.
So, what are you going by definition of a woman when talking about trans women?
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna be using it differently. A woman, I'm using it as an adult human person who is in accordance or has commitments to characteristics that are associated with the female sex, typically speaking.
But see, you know that's not the true definition of a woman.
That actually is a Cambridge definition, if you want
Yeah,
to.
but how many
It's not
dictionaries
even
out
just
there?
a
You got
word about the
Webster,
Cambridge.
you got Merriam, you got.
No, like the thing is that like it's gonna be the way that like society uses it, like whatever. Like if we're talking about like that's not there's no strict definition of a word.
Terms are
It is
based
a
off.
strict definition.
No, terms.
I'm
Look,
just-
usages of terms and definitions are based on ad populum. They're based on the amount of people that use them. That's why lit now has a different usage. That's why, like,
Yeah.
when kids say that's lit, it didn't mean what me and you said it.
No,
You can
that's a
literally
slang
look that
word.
up and find lit
And
having
now it's
like
it
a
gets
separate
added
definition.
Yeah, it
like-
gets added to dictionaries. That's what happens because usage of terms change over time, and it's all about the amount of competent speakers of the language that deploy the terms, right? So like I can make up blah 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 and just mean whatever. This is actually I
Yeah.
think this is actually a really good segue to this is that I meet a lot of people that think God exists, and when I talk to them about it, sometimes it turns out that they just think it's the universe, right? But they're deploying a term God, right? But they mean this completely other thing, like right, like the universe. That's something that I agree exists already, and I think the same thing's happening when we tell you what we mean by the term here. That look, it's these characteristics. You already agree with that. Those are associated with that sex, right? And then you also deploy that concept. You don't go and check off those chromosomes and the other things that you think is required. So we don't even have to worry about definitions. You possess the concept, right? Definitions are going to come later. It's all about first possessing this concept, and you possess that concept. When you didn't have to look at a dictionary or define woman ever in your life to deploy the concept of a woman, right? Kids don't have to define terms to deploy concepts.
But you need definition to do so.
No, you deploy concepts and then you can give words to describe like what you think the concept is, what you mean by the terms and the concepts and stuff like that. But like most people, when you press, like if I ask you what knowledge is, you're not going to give me necessary and sufficient conditions of what constitutes knowledge rather than belief. And I don't think I could do that either, right? But the point is that we do both share a concept of knowledge. The fact that me and you can't give the necessary and sufficient conditions for knowledge doesn't mean that there's no knowledge, right? The fact that philosophy has failed at defining that, which is my view, doesn't mean that there isn't knowledge. It just, there's some issue going on with language. But similarly, right, if there's an issue here with like how I use the language or how you use the language, what matters is, look, you mean it this way and I mean it this way. So let's focus on yours. Yours is that you think that these biological males are calling themselves biologically female. Well, no one's really doing that. There might be outliers, but no one's really doing that. That's not what trans people are saying. what you want to do is adopt our terms, and then it'll turn out that, yeah, okay, I think I do agree with what you're saying, but look, I take a woman to be this thing over here, and we have this semantic dispute. But really, substantively, you don't disagree. I predict you wouldn't. I predict you would agree in the example I gave to other people about a fire hydrant, that if somebody was really shaped like a fire hydrant, spewed water, was red, fighters cracked open the water when there was fires, that you would have no problem saying, well, look, they're not really physically a fire hydrant, but they could identify as one because they share all those characteristics, right? And that's all trans people are saying. They're not saying I'm a fire hydrant or I am a biological male. They're saying I share these characteristics.
Yeah, I understand that point. I mean, if you would have said to me that trans women are a type of woman, then I would agree with you.
Yeah, so tall women are a type of woman, short women are a type
See,
of
you just
woman.
a descriptor though. When you
Yeah,
say tall women,
that's what
short
it
women,
is.
Yeah, I
that
don't think
deal-
you disagree.
that dealing with size and shape. When you use
Yeah,
words
that's a
like
type of
tall,
woman.
short,
So
but they still a woman.
trans women are a type of woman. Yeah.
But see,
Like a
when you use
category
trans
of
woman, then the
woman.
definition change. How you
No,
use the word,
no. So
it does. Yes, it does.
what are you talking? No.
So you talk about size and shape. A trans woman is not a size or shape.
I know that. Brunette women are women. All these different categories of women are going to be women, the same as like trans women are women. It's just an adjective.
And that's just a red that's just a red herring. The analogous property that Annie's identifying on the analogy, right? The identical property between the two cases is that it's a subclass of women, right? That's the analogous property. It has nothing to do with what you're pointing out as a red herring. It had nothing to do with the content of her saying like tall. She could have used any content. She could have said like women that drive and women that don't drive or something. Like it doesn't really matter what you set the class up as. What matters is the analogous property in the cases, which is that they are women because they're in this subset of women.
I think that like we are just hung up on the way that like language is used. And I think that there's like a really good example of like what do you think it mean? What do you think gay means? What do you think that word means?
Happy.
Okay, so that was gonna be my example. That was literally my example. So like, do you recognize that gay people exist?
Yeah, evidence
Why was that
exists.
cute?
It was cute.
Why was that cute?
It was cute.
I ain't even gay, and that was cute.
Exactly. So that's exactly my point. Is that like, gay used to mean happy, more colloquially speaking, but now it's used to describe a sexual orientation. It's the way that language works. You recognize that, right? That like gay people exist.
Aliens exist.
That they what?
Aliens exist.
I think
Did you say aliens exist? What are you
I agree.
talking about?
Aliens
Making a
exist. I'm with-
positive claim.
Hey, I'm with them. Aliens exist, brother. Preach.
Yeah.
Can you provide a source?
Yeah, actually, I kind of want to know.
Area 51.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay, we're not. Okay,
Sorry, no, that's
sorry.
my bad. That's my bad.
So gay people exist, right? Like a man is attracted to a man, and you recognize that to be used like with the term gay.
Among other words, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So it's the same thing that's going on. It's just the way that language is used over time. Yeah, so trans women are women. They're like a category of women, the same way that tall women, blonde women, women that can drive.
Yeah, and you might be like, yeah, but they're not biologically male, and everyone's like, yeah, we're not saying that.
So that's where the term change is gonna be like just think of like gay used to mean happy more in society, but now it means a man loving a man or whatever.
Well, excuse me. In Sicilian biology, saying women are not their organs.
Took me forever to say your name too.
Women are their organs.
What are you talking about? To the silica?
Well, just I would. It's kind of rude if Annie's talking to you and you're responding to people in the comments. So I would just.
No, I said excuse me before I said anything.
Oh,
You did do that.
That is fair. You did. That is fair. You did do that. That's my bad. That is fair.
Okay, so this person talking about women are not their organs. I don't understand.
Yeah, no, that's true, because you would agree to that yourself. Like, if your dick was cut off, you would still be a man. Like,
Correct.
okay.
So, but I know associated that a man usually, if a healthy man, usually have a dick.
You need to do Freaky Friday. We need to do that.
That would help.
Well, like, just imagine that, like, there's this, like, Rob Schneider movie, and I don't remember what it's called, but, like, Rob Schneider, like, swaps bodies with this girl, and the girl swaps bodies with him, and he's, like, a
I've
janitor.
seen that one. I forgot what it's called.
But,
Well,
like,
let me ask you this.
they would
What
still,
about,
real quick, like, do you agree, like, in that movie, like, they still have, like, the sense, like, they swap and they have different biology, but they still have the sense of them being a man or a woman. Like, he doesn't want to kiss that girl's boyfriend, you
all
know.
he did just act like he's
Just
gay.
a straight
That's all
man
it
in that
was.
case, but
That's all it was. He just acting like he's gay.
yeah, but so,
Well, the
like,
concept of
do you?
it.
No, but the thing is that if you were in that position, you would still be yourself. You wouldn't
Sure.
feel like
Yeah,
okay.
like, you might believe, like, I think this argument's even easier to give. Like, this isn't my view. Like, I don't believe in souls, and I'm a physicalist, so I think the brain just is the mind in my view. But, like, maybe you think that, look, there's, like, a separation between the mind and the body. There's, like, a soul and there's not a soul. Do you hold some, like, view like that? I'm not going to critique it or anything like that. It might help draw the analogy better.
I mean, you know, I'm going to philosophical details about it and all
Yeah,
that.
no, I'm not trying to critique you. It's a massive project. I agree.
No, I'm not going to bust out. Well, Socrates said that.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, no, but, like, would you be sympathetic to something like that?
Of course.
Okay, cool. So, like, yeah, like, imagine your soul is just put into some other biology, like, taken out, or the mental states that you have. Like, there's a separation between the mind and the body. And so I think you would probably agree you would still have your identity as, like, being a man, even though your soul is transported or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
So
let me give you a Freaky Friday concept. Okay, let's say all the gay people, their characteristics on how they act, they swap.
What? Bless you. Sorry, what'd you say?
I said, let's talk about Freaky Friday according to gay people.
Oh, well,
How
I'm
would
not
it-
really, like,
But like why? Like,
yeah, I'm not really, like,
No,
well, maybe you can draw on an
listen to the concept.
analogy,
Listen to it.
but I don't really
What
know
happens the way they are right now, like a gay man, and you have a lesbian woman, and they personality swap. Would they be straight?
personalities?
You just say,
No.
yeah,
I
I'm
don't
not.
think so.
Yeah, because I don't really know what's
Okay, let's say you know how
Would they be having
studs act, right?
biological
They act now.
responses?
Yeah, exactly. Because that could just be, like, some parts of the personality that are constituent of change, like liking a
happens-
certain ice cream or something, or, like, they like certain metal music and now they don't like metal music. But, like, I don't really know.
But what happened? They did a swap. As
Well, this would
Friday
honestly
swap.
probably
Would they-
just be based on the individual, because we could be talking about a asexual, like, lesbian or something, and then maybe
Asexual
but,
lesbian.
Yeah, 'cause the
but like
point-
this is like it would be there's so many different factors that go into your sexual orientation and, like, your gender identity, that it's going to be based on the individual, like, to even try to begin to say that. But
Yeah, we're worried about sense of identity in these examples, right? It
Are
doesn't
you
have to be an explicit belief, just a
are the
sense of
host
identity.
is on trans by any chance? So I won't misassume anything.
what happened?
It kind of cut out.
Are you trans?
No, I'm not.
No, I'm talking about the host.
Oh, technically speaking, if we're saying that my gender identity differs from my biological sex, then yeah, yeah. But I'm gender queer. Yeah.
What's gender queer?
Yeah, because I don't want to explain it. It's like
You're using that as, like,
Yeah.
like in the
it's an umbrella
old-fashioned queer term of, like,
yeah.
weird or something, like because that's how, like, Mackey and people in philosophy would be like, moral facts are very queer. They're very like, what are they? Like,
yeah, like-
so there's, like, different meanings of
Yeah.
that. So I don't know if is that what you're meaning?
Essentially, well, that used to be a slur for the community, but
Yeah,
it's,
that's
like,
why I want to.
reclaimed.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, exactly. I want to make sure we're
Yeah.
not like you're doing that, but just for the audience and people, like, to be like, wait, that word. It's like, well, you can use, like, I will use that term and be like, well, I think, like, moral facts under moral realism are very queer. They're very like, what are they? They're very weird, but I don't mean it in that sense at all. So anyway, that's maybe that's just like an older term, but
But if you're wondering about like pronouns, it's just she, they, like that. I don't really feel the need to like explain anything other than that.
Yeah, and like what we're worried about is the sense of identity thing. So like it seems like, and I like to tie things up. You might get annoyed. I'm like really pedantic, but do like we have at least some agreement that like that sense of identity that differs from like their assigned sex or whatever, like in the examples we gave, is something that you recognize as like a real phenomena, whether or not we use the term like I identify as a woman. What I mean by that is like the identifying on those characteristics. Would you agree with what we're saying?
I mean, when I think about trans women, according to their appearance, if their appearance as, they look like a woman.
So this wouldn't even make any sense because you wouldn't say that about cisgendered women. Like if a cisgendered woman,
What is that? Cisgender.
like biologically female woman.
I mean, why not just say female? It's clear cut.
Because this is the point. There's a distinction here, and
There shouldn't be a distinction.
Yeah, but like
when we're talking about it, yes, there should be.
Look, like you would like.
I mean, your mama is a female.
Yeah, but that's just one part. That's one half of the.
There is no one half.
That's one half of like the concern, right? Like, okay, yeah, nobody who's trans or like not or who's cis is gonna be like, yeah, that person's female or male, or like, we're just gonna assume like the binary aspect. But there's a debate obviously to be had there. But just to make it
even be a debate.
Well.
We're having one right now.
You
requested to have one.
A discussion.
Well,
okay, whatever.
Look, there is a debate. I mean, I don't know what you know about the studies in neurobiology on gender, but like they're like, I mean, I'm not going to say that they're accessible to me or whatever, but like this is something it's like it is a debate because there's people on your side that disagree with this, and we have not just like the philosophical kind of arguments that I'm laying out with Annie, and Annie giving the kind of data that she has in her links empirically, but yeah, there's like this additional empirical research that's going on, right? So there is a debate because there's people that contest what's actually going on in the world, and we want to point them in the right direction. But I guess I'm a little confused on the view because like that's just one. If you just want to say like, but they're female, it's like yeah, but what I'm asking about is this sense of gender identity and whether or not you agree with what we're saying, because that's the other half of the conversation. And I'm trying to see if you agree with that, because once you do, we're going to make some progress. If not, we're back at the same spot, and I'm going to have to probably deploy like the fire hydrant example to see if you agree. Because
I mean, but when you have a statement like trans women are women, you're going to have that type of kickback argument.
I know there's going to be a kickback. Well, we can worry about claims of circularity. I don't think that any of the definitions we provided had any issue of circularity there. In fact, I would.
I mean, my definition that I've been taught throughout the years and also associated with is pretty much clear cut. There's no second, third, fourth, or fifth definition of what a woman is.
So this is fundamental. Now it just sounds like there's a fundamental misunderstanding of how words and words, like usage of words work, because it sounds like you're now a realist about how words ought to be used.
I'm a realist.
No. What I mean by realist there is that there is a obligation that you use words some way, regardless of what like society is constructed.
So, okay, let me ask you this.
Hold on. I'm trying to understand this point. Do you hold the view that words are prescriptive in that, like, regardless of a society, we have to use words some way, or are they dependent upon some society?
Some words are.
Okay, what word is not dependent on a society? Just name one word that's not dependent upon a society.
Not dependent on not dependent on society.
On a society existing, a group of agents with stances and opinions and attitudes. That's what I'm saying.
Male and female.
No, okay. Yeah, so how do you justify... Okay, great. So that's a word that is something that ought be used some way, regardless of how people develop and use the term. Even if everybody in the world just adopted the term we're using, you're saying they're still wrong. They're out of accord with using it. But how do you show that? How do you show that there are floating definitions in the world that we should be like grabbing really quickly and be like, I got it, that's the right one. What even does that mean? What does it even mean for me to say that there's the right definition if what's not built into the concept of right definition there is with respect to some society, or with respect to some usage in a dictionary, or with respect to an academic sense in science, right? If it doesn't have if there's no sense of like with respect to built into that concept, it's not clear what you mean that it's wrong to use a term some way. That just seems like gibberish. Like, I don't even think that you could hold the belief that you think that, because I don't even think that's like something you could believe. It's like believing like you can't believe because it doesn't mean anything. I don't think objective word meanings mean anything.
I mean, a word you've been known for years, all of a sudden it's changed, and now you believe the definition of the new word.
Yes, because that's how words work. You have two views that you can take. They're dependent upon a society and development of the society, or they're not.
Just use the gay example.
Yeah, and Annie used the gay example, right? And so I thought we went over this, but like your view is you're gonna have to take. You have two horns to take. It's dependent on some society or group of agents, or it's not dependent upon the society or group of agents. Now, if you go back and you go, well, okay, it's dependent upon a society. I agree with you, Mike. Well, then now you're committed to what's constitutive of that societies change and that people use terms different ways. And that was to Annie's point and to my point about saying that people use lit differently, right, than they used to. Or like, well, fuck, that's a good example. I don't want to dig for examples, but, or like, gay or queer, right? So if you're mad about words changing, then you're going to be upset about a lot of words in the future, because words are based on ad populum, right? That's like the one time you can use ad populum, and it's like it's not a fallacy, because word usage is determined by the amount of people that use it.
Okay, I understand words, because some words been around for centuries, and you have science to back it up.
No. So, okay, this is actually an important distinction to make. Do you recognize that there's a distinction between semantics and concepts?
Of course.
Okay, great. So I can like use these semantics to define things. Like, I think God, I'm going to define God right now, right? And do what some people do. God is the universe. It's all things that exist. Now, I defined God that way. But some theist comes up and is like, well, no, I don't think the God is the universe. I think God is the one that created the universe. It's not the universe itself. It's the thing responsible for the universe. Now we have two completely different concepts at play. One concept is the universe. The other concept is like this mind agent that creates the external world. But notice that the semantics are the exact same. It's God, right? But the definitions and the concepts deployed are different. So there's not like, this whole dictionary game that people play on TikTok is kind of annoying, because it doesn't get you anywhere, because there's not the right definition. It's what term are you using, how are you using it, and what concept are you tracking? And then now the question is, do you share that same concept with me, and do you deploy that concept? And that's what I'm trying to get to, is that not only do you share that concept of woman, you deploy it every time you go to the store. Or you pick up the phone and don't know that the other person's at the end, and you just pick up on like a few sets of the characteristics, right? It might not be enough, but you do this. You do deploy that concept. You have like a very weak threshold of the characteristics you need, and you still feel informed enough to say ma'am, right? But what's not in that set are chromosomes, gametes, or having a penis.
But see, the thing is, when you misgender somebody, usually they'll correct you. I mean, what's so hard about that?
Yeah, what? Okay.
How is it that? I mean, if I misgender somebody and they say, excuse me, I'm a he, a sir, I'm not a man.
Yeah, if someone came up to me and said, hey, Michael, and I said, sorry, I like to go by Mike, I feel like it'd be very easy for them to not constantly say Michael to me, right? It's just like respect to just say Mike after I told you my name is Mike. It's no problem getting it wrong once or twice, even 3 or 4 times. But now, once you start doing it more, and you're just like Michael, I'm gonna get really mad at you, right? Because I feel like you're just deliberately trying to make me mad, and it's working. Because I'm upset that there's a person in the world that I share space with that has the freedom to swing their arms, but for whatever reason they want to swing their arms and have their hand land at my nose, and I'm not understanding why they want to do that. And that's like what what trans people are trying to do. They like have this scar that's being like, you know, constantly ripped off by people, and they're like, just like, look.
Well, let me ask you this: have you ever came across a trans person on here that disagree with what you say on here?
I've had
as trans women or women?
Yeah, I know trans people that say like they're not trans, and I don't understand their view. Like, that's weird. There are people like Blair White.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are gonna like have views that don't entirely make sense on any in any kind of group of people. So that's kind of a trivial question, but
yeah, like there are probably people that think that they're biologically female when in fact they're biologically male, and those people are like deluded. But like, that's not trans people. That's like a couple people in the outlier, and you're gonna find that with any group. Like, you're gonna find Catholic priests that like kids, right? Does that mean like all Catholics do that? No. Like, or hold those beliefs? No. But what we can say is that, like, talk to most trans people and they'll tell you, like, I'm not trans, and I want to say this very carefully. I'm reporting to you what I think trans people are saying based off the conversations. I still have a lot to learn myself. So if someone wanted to correct me on that, I'm very open to that. But you know what I know they're not going to do is yell at me about it and do the thing that the people I talk to on the other side claim. Like, people in my family are like, oh yeah, but you get it wrong, they're all mad. They just like create this artificial thing in their head, or they saw like a video that went viral and now that's the poster child for like trans people, right? Like with like liberals and blue hair people like that freaking out at people. It's like, oh, look at these crazy liberals or these crazy conservatives that can't answer a simple question. That's not the whole group. There are smart people in every group, right? There's smart Christians, there's smart atheists, they're smart, right? So we don't, that would just be a hasty generalization fallacy that neither of us should want to commit.
Okay, so it usually, so what you talk about dealing with identity and what they think they perceive themselves as.
what? What are you asking?
I said, so it deals with a person who thinks by their ideas or by their identity who they are. If I'm Wesley Snipes, I look nothing like him.
So sorry, hold on.
Sorry, I'm a dumb and I like hit the screen. Sorry.
No, you're just so gender identity is like an innate sense of self. It's the same way that you have a gender identity as a man. It's an innate sense of self. So the way that you express that is going to be like a choice, but the sense of self isn't anything that anyone is like choosing or wanting or whatever.
But the word identify usually deals with being either true or false. Correct?
I don't really know what you mean by that.
Okay, you say, like I just gave an example. If I said I identify as Wesley Snipes and I look nothing like him, then that would be false, correct?
Okay, then yeah, that would be like strange, and I would want to know what you mean by you identify as Wesley Snipes.
Then I have to go in detail why.
Yeah, so what would you mean by that in that hypothetical? Do you have...
So see, this is the same thing we're dealing with trans women.
Yeah, so with trans people, I've already told you what they mean when they say that, like a trans woman says that they're a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're saying I identify as Wesley Snipes, I would want to know what you mean by that.
But see, trans women going off their experience and what they think.
This is actually a really good example.
A woman is not a feeling.
This is actually a really good example. Like, if somebody really looked like
He said he looked nothing like Wesley Snipes in the hypothetical, so it's like...
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, I thought you said looked a lot. I thought you said the opposite. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's like not even close to...
Yeah, it's like not even analogous. I don't know what the analogy, like the property that's supposed to be analogous there. Because the whole point is that you're giving an example of something that like people aren't doing. But the point, what you want to do in the analogous property is like what trans people are saying. So like a better example would be like, imagine somebody looked just like Wesley Snipes and like, had all that kind of stuff, right? So, you know, and then you would ask them this kind of question like, well, do you think like you are Wesley Snipes? Like, well, no, I'm not biologically Wesley Snipes, but like I share like all of these same characteristics as Wesley Snipes, and so like I identify as Wesley Snipes. We would agree that like when we asked them, well, what do you mean by identifying as Wesley Snipes? This is kind of weird to me. This is new, right? This is foreign, which is natural. And they just tell you, well, what I mean is I have these characteristics. You're not going to go, no, you don't. You're going to go, yeah, I agree with you. So that's just what you mean by the term. okay, I understand that concept. That's fine, right? Then that's what's being expressed here is that like you might be left over thinking like, yeah, but that's weird to me or it's different. But like really all that's going on is it's new to you, but you actually end up agreeing with everything that's going on there, that they share those characteristics and that they're not actually Wesley Snipes biologically. They just have
So,
a sense of identity that's shared with Wesley Snipes.
so that's kind of like saying impersonator. A trans woman is like an impersonator, correct?
A
Wait, what?
transformer.
Impersonation.
Impersonator,
Oh, sorry.
like a celebrity impersonator.
Well, a person.
No, they're not impersonating anything because the definition still applies to them, like woman.
Exactly. And the characteristics still apply to them. They share all the characteristics of Wesley Snipes, or like a lot of the characteristics of Wesley Snipes, sorry. So it's the same, it'd be the same thing there. And all the question is do you agree that they share those characteristics that are highly associated with Wesley Snipes? And you would be like, yeah. Further question is, we're all on the same board that they're not biologically Wesley Snipes? And you go, yeah. And then there's like, what seems like at this point for the people on the other side is that there's this confusion because they're not expecting you to go, they're expecting in like this dialectic to be like, he is biologically Wesley Snipes and identifies as that or something like that. And you're like, no. Like, and like they're thrown off. But it comes very clear to us that people on the other side don't even really understand what trans people are saying.
Yeah.
And so that's why this live is important, because this is like the same dance every time. And I don't get sick of it because it's like, it seems like the person's understanding, even if they're hesitant to like say they agree. But I'm not going to like speak for your mind. I'm just speaking generally.
So do you think, it might be off the topic, do you think that trans women have the rights to be in women's spaces?
Yes.
I have a feeling this is coming.
Because they're women. Women's spaces are for women.
Yeah. Door says women. We established that they're women, and so they belong there.
But they never have fought for the right for that. So you mean to tell me they have the right to be in those spaces, even though they don't have
Yeah.
Of course they do.
the definition
Why
of
wouldn't they?
a woman or the chromosomes?
What
Yeah.
right would be violated? Why don't they have the right?
Because they're not women.
They are women.
They are women.
We just established that.
I mean, by your definition of
Okay,
what
so
you
under
perceive women to
argue-
be.
And under like everything you've agreed that
Yeah, I mean, but see,
women-
that's why I said it's gonna be a circular debate.
No, it's not. What is circular?
It's very circular.
What's
I
happening?
think he's thinking it's circular because he's like, you have your definition and I have my definition and we can't make progress. But the
Oh,
point is
so-
not that. Like, that's where I was trying to explain to you. It's the same thing where it's like
Two-
the person that says like God exists as the universe and then God exists as the thing that creates it. That, well, yeah, there might not like be a substantive I'm sorry, I gave the bad example. What I meant to say there, and I probably messed this up at the beginning, is that when someone says God is the universe, and I already think the universe like exists or something like that, where you're using that term, and I'm like, oh, okay, what you mean by God is just the universe. Yeah, I agree, the universe exists. That's just what you mean by God or whatever. That's perfectly fine, by that usage or whatever. And then there might be something where you can't get farther, but the reason why I think you can get farther is that this was the whole point of me saying that you possess the concept. And when you go out and like do these things in your daily life, that it seems like I don't know you, but I'm highly confident that on the phone, when you don't see somebody or when you're in public, you will say, thank you, ma'am, or sir, or whatever, miss. And that's going to immediately tell me that you possess the concept and what's not constitutive of the concept of the things that you think make up a woman, despite you employing the woman concept, right? You deploy the woman concept, and it's not true that you investigate their chromosomes or you investigate their gamete size or you investigate their sexual reproduction or their organs, right? So that's why I don't think it's going to be something where we can't move on. Like, I think it's actually good to still show you, hey, this is what we think. And then maybe someone just like, I just disagree with you, but I understand what you mean by the terms or whatever, blah, blah. But no, I think we can go farther. I think we can actually show you that you possess the concept and deploy it.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Do you think trans women and women are equal?
Yeah.
What? Yeah?
I think all humans are equal.
No, I'm not talking about as far as being a human being.
Yeah, I'm a humanist. All humans are equal.
Besides being a human being.
Every human is equal in my view. I'm a humanist.
What are you saying equal? What do you mean? What are you talking about?
they share the same thing, characteristics, the way they live, and
I
No
thought you meant, like,
one,
rights.
no one woman shares the same characteristics as the next woman. I don't know what that means.
all women go through well, not all women.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some women grow. Well, some women go through puberty.
Yep, we're just going to get into sufficiency criterions that are not necessary criterions. You're just going to point out sufficiency stuff that go, yeah, but here are cases where they don't have that thing. This is what happens when people are like, women are this thing, like they have to reproduce, and then it's like, okay, well, Annie's mom, boom, okay, well, that necessary criterion clearly isn't one. It might be a sufficiency criterion. It might be sufficient to be a woman with like having XX or like, or I'm sorry, a female or whatever, right? But it's not going to be a necessary one. So we just need to lay out the sufficiency criterion. When you point out these other examples, we're just going to be like, well, yeah, not all cases need that. That's just a sufficiency criterion. They're not needed in all the cases. You can have other sufficiency criterions.
I mean, but there's some things that can be argued. Like, I mean, trans women don't have a prostate or a cervix.
What?
But women do.
Okay,
What?
Okay, so like, again, if you just point out something where I can point out to you some female or whatever has not that thing, and you're going to say that they're not a woman?
No, the reason why they do not have those things because it's a medical reason that occurs that prevent them to have those.
I'm telling you with biological females, when you bring out these things that trans people don't have, I'm going to point out to you that there's cases where the biological women don't have that.
That's right. And I can point out to you.
So then it's not a necessary criterion to be a woman. That's the point.
Okay, so if they don't have it, would you clearly say that if it was a healthy woman, she would have it? If the woman was healthy?
I don't know what healthy means. That sounds like you're baking in some type of
normative.
That sounds like normative
with
realism.
everything.
No, but you're
If she
still
was
just
born
saying that
with
she's still a
everything,
woman. You're just saying she's an unhealthy woman, whatever the fuck that means. I don't
what
know.
I'm
what the fuck
saying
that
is,
means, but she's
if
still a
she was
woman.
born with
and
everything
she's
that
still a
she
woman.
needs to have as a woman,
I don't even. We don't need
Needs to
get
have that.
into,
He's
like,
doing the.
I know it's the.
He's doing the whole thing where
like,
you're doing this
design plan.
Yeah, you're doing this whole thing. We watched this debate earlier, and this like doctor would do this shit where we can't proceed
it's true.
forward.
That's what doctors go off of.
Well, this is like a doctor of philosophy. I should have been very careful with my language there. He's not an actual.
So you mean a doctor
he's not an
is going
actual.
to-
He's not an actual like medical doctor. He's a doctor of philosophy, and he's a motivated Christian. So like, I'm just saying, I should have been specified. It's this philosophy guy who doesn't know what he was actually, I'm surprised this guy's a PhD because I know more about philosophy than he does, and I've never taken a class in philosophy. But this guy is doing what you're doing, where what you're baking in is this notion of proper functionality, right?
Yes.
But I don't know. This is the same thing I was saying earlier about your definition thing. Same critique is that I don't know what it means for something to be a proper function, something to be like going the right way or the wrong way if it's not indexed to a desire, right? Like you're not going to say that the heart has proper functionality, like it ought to pump blood, it ought to do these things. I deny that view. You're going to have to argue for what's called normative realism, right? Which I don't know if you know what that is. I'm not expecting you to.
I know what that is.
Okay, so your view assumes normative realism. Me and Annie couldn't proceed forward until you made an argument that there exists this thing called proper functionality and that women's, biological females' bodies ought, perform this way, right? That's a type of realism that biologists don't share and that medical doctors don't share. Like they're not in their work talking that there is a prescriptive way that the body works or something like that. They're descriptive ways. And then we can talk about like optimal ways that the body works or ways that we desire for like, our goals. But that only makes sense to say the heart is functioning properly because I desire to live. That makes sense. It doesn't make sense to take that out of it.
Is that just like saying that you was born with an eye on your head? Is that normal?
Well, hold on. Normality is not this. We're not talking about normality. I could concede that it's not. It's not something that you typically see in like Homo
deal with the
sapiens.
general of things that's happening.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, exactly. It's not
accusing
typical to be
society.
trans. It's typicality or normality is not the issue. The issue is this further thing. Like I can say descriptively, it's not normal for there to be eyes on the tops of Homo sapiens heads, but that doesn't commit me to that. Therefore, like they ought to be in this place functioning this way. Like that is an additional claim where you're saying the world has this obligation that things operate in a way. That is a heavy claim. That's saying that the world works like prescriptively, that it's like it has this notion of like it ought do this thing independent of what humans think. I don't think that makes sense. I think that a heart ought function right only in the sense that the person wants their heart to function right. There's no sense of proper functionality when you take away the desire part.
Yeah, if we're talking about like an infertile woman who like doesn't want kids,
Yeah, you would have to be, yeah, exactly. This is a great example. You would have to say that this is an amazing example. You would have to say the person that's infertile, their body isn't acting like in the proper functionality.
okay.
And sorry, I'll start over because it did something weird. You would have to say, committed to this view, that some infertile woman, their body they're out of accord, right? That their body is doing something like wrong, but they have a desire, like they might have a desire like, okay, well, I don't want children. That's why, I like tied my tubes or whatever, or I'm okay with being infertile or something like that. Now you're saying that they're wrong, like that they ought to actually reproduce and that there's this like obligation among them, right? I don't know how you argue for that, nor do I even know what it means to say that there's an obligation. And here's actually I'm sorry to talk long, but here's a really good example to show you what I mean. And this will probably help lessen the confusion in the audience. Imagine that someone came up to you and just said, Annie is taller, right? Now you presumably would mean like, oh, she's taller than she was last week, or she's taller than that bush next to her, right? That there's something built into this notion of like tall, that there's like referent to some like relationship between this object and that object, right? There's like some relata there, right? So if you then had someone come up to you and they just go, oh, well, Annie is taller. And then you go, oh, taller than she was last week? They're like, no. Taller than Bill? No. Just taller. She's just taller. Does that make any sense to you?
No, Annie's just tall. That's it.
No, not just tall. Is taller. Without anything built into a reference to anything else. Just taller.
Then, in other words, I have to measure her between her and Bill.
No. Like, just track what I'm saying. What we're removing...
Taller than something you would assume.
Yeah,
right?
Now we're removing the taller than something, right?
Yeah.
Now it's just taller. There's no reference to anything else, just taller. Does that make sense to you?
No.
Exactly. That's what it sounds like to me when you talk about proper function.
No, but I'm saying as proper function is out of 10 men, nine of them were born with testicles, except one. Now that one that
hold on. Sorry. I need like a concession on that. If what I'm saying is that this notion of tallerness, it's not even clear to me that that's something that someone could believe is true, right? It's not even clear that it's like a statement someone can believe is true. And I think that's an analogy towards what you're saying about proper functionality here with biological women.
So let me ask you this.
Hold on. The question is, can you help explain to me how it's not just like, because it's not clear to me that it means anything. So like, help me figure out what you even mean by this obligation that the body, must do these things independent of what someone's desire that the body do. Because I don't know what that means.
Wait, okay, I'm trying to tell you, if I told you a person was born without something that usually you find a person usually supposed to be born with, wouldn't you think that's a medical condition?
No, hold on. You're saying usually supposed to. When you say supposed
Usually
to,
they are supposed to have.
that's the
Yes.
problem. You're just okay. You're
That's not
talking
the
about
problem.
typicals. Hold on. You're talking about typicals. So like
Yeah, of course.
typically people aren't ginger. So does that mean people aren't supposed
That's
to
not
be
what I'm talking
ginger?
about.
No, but that is like you're talking about typicals.
No, I'm saying if I was born without something that I typically supposed to have as a male, you would say that, I have a medical condition.
No, you're just saying no. You're just like classifying it as a medical condition. You don't even like
That's
probably
exactly
have
what it
any
is.
criteria for that. I don't even think
I
you
mean,
know
that's
what you mean by that.
like saying a woman who can't have children. Then you would say that there's something going on, a medical condition going on with her body.
That's not a medical condition. No, that's not okay.
What
So
is it then? If she
when
can't,
we're
if she
talking
unable
about
to have children?
typicals, you're just You're
That's not
just
a
like assuming
typical.
that because something is abnormal, it's a medical condition. Is that what your
Yes, it
criteria
is.
for medical conditions are?
10 times out of 10, it usually
Okay, so it's a
is.
medical condition for you to be ginger, for a person to be ginger.
No, you talking about hair color. I'm not talking about hair color. I'm talking about body organs.
It doesn't matter if you're not talking about
She's
it
just
because it's an analogy.
Okay, so
just taking your
you got a
she's just taking your logic
so
and
you
using
have
it
a
against you,
prostate.
dude.
Yeah, you're
You have a
saying
prostate.
because it doesn't happen a lot, it's a medical condition. People aren't ginger a lot,
No, if
so it's a medical
you talk about
condition.
hair color, I'm not talking
Okay,
about
so I
that.
can talk about something else. People's fingernails are not usually super long.
Still not a
If
good
they're super
example.
long, it's a medical condition.
That's still not a good example.
The fuck are you on about? Don't fucking talk to me about how good my examples are. You don't even know what you're talking about. You don't know what a
No, I
medical
mean,
condition is.
you don't know. I think
You're just
there's a
saying it's not
disconnection.
normal.
So you mean to tell me
Which
that a
I've
woman?
already gone over, by the way, and I said that under our notion of like not normal, we can be made sense of. It can be made sense of to be like, oh, like I desire like this the function of my heart to continuously pump blood or
No, so
something like
you
that,
say
or it's
it's
not,
something
or it's
that's normal.
descriptively not normal to have a heart on the outside of your body or something like that. But that's
So
not.
if you
Hold on,
have a
but
heart
that's
outside
not.
your
That's
body,
not.
that's normal.
That's not the claim that you were making about this kind of normative realism about proper functionality of like that the body ought work this way or something like that, right? You can make sense of normality and typicality with this notion that we have in mind, right? Whether it's goal oriented, like talking about desires to the heart functioning a certain way, or whether it's just descriptive notions that typically they are in this place and they typically do these things, they typically have these dispositions.
You talking about the heart? So there's a normal heartbeat rate that all humans supposed to have. There is a such thing as a irregular.
You just did it again. You just did it again. Supposed to have. You just did it again. You just assumed.
Yes.
You just begged the
Yes, it
question.
is.
You just begged the question though. Like the thing in contention is this notion of the proper functionality that the organs or the body ought do this thing. You can't just
Yes.
stipulate. Yeah, but you can't just reassert that in your support, right? You're just begging the question.
Oh, so are you supposed to have one eyes or two?
Again, if you're meaning that in a normative realist sense, which you are, it's not clear to me that what you're saying is even a proposition.
how many-
I don't know.
all right,
I don't
let's
know.
try it this way.
Like again, what you're doing to me is doing the thing, the analogy I gave you, which is you're just coming up to me and saying Annie is taller, and I'm saying taller than
not
what?
it.
I'm
That's
saying taller
not
than
the
what?
same.
I'm saying yes, but this is an analogy. I'll break it down for you, right?
That's a bad analogy.
It's not, and here's why it's not a bad analogy. Here's why it's actually a fucking great analogy. The reason why it's a great analogy is you say the body's supposed to do this thing, and I go, okay, supposed to do this thing in reference to what? Now, maybe it's their desire, like the infertile woman desires to not have children, right? And so now I can make sense of the supposed to be. The body's supposed to do this thing, or like she, supposed to, given that she takes this medicine or she goes and does this procedure or whatever, right? So it's supposed to do this thing. Now that makes sense because there's a reference to her desire. What doesn't make sense is you go, it's supposed to. Without a reference to her desires. In fact, her desires don't matter because it's supposed to be regardless of her desires. The reason why the analogy doesn't suck is that it's the same thing when you're going, oh, they're taller than that person, and then I understand. Stop. I understand when you say Annie is taller than she was last week or taller than that person over there. What I don't understand is when you strip away that referent. Right now, I don't know what it means because taller has built into it this concept of referentiality. It has that concept built into it. And I take these norms, things that supposed to happen or ought happen. I take what's built into that as this referent to desires that agents have. So that's why it's a good analogy is that in one case, you're stripping out the desire, and it's I don't know what you mean. In the same way, when someone strips out the referent to tallerness, I don't know what they mean by that. It's gibberish. That's why it's a good analogy.
I mean, but I'm talking about the norm in society. I'm not talking about
now you're contradicting. Now you're contradicting yourself. Now you're saying it's
No, I'm not contradicting myself.
now you're just agreeing with my position.
You're just appealing to the norms in society again. It's going to be the gingers are a medical condition.
Yeah, now you're just agreeing with.
Born with one eye, is that normal?
Oh my.
Okay, I'm not going to go in circles with you again. I explained to you that in your sense,
you're supposed to say no. That is not normal.
I've explained to you in your sense of normality when you talk about
height and shape. I'm not talking about height and shape.
Yeah.
What does normality? How does that matter? We just said that it's not normal to be ginger. Like that's not. That doesn't matter.
And if
It does matter.
Okay, so great. It can matter in one sense, right? The sense that it matters is Annie gives some quantitative stuff that you don't like, and it's this like kind of qualitative, this like these obligations that you should have. But again, if that's where you're headed, and it's like this is not analogous because I'm talking about this obligation or something like that. Well, great. It's not clear what that even means when you strip away the referent to the desire. I understand what it means to have proper function of the heart corresponding to the desires of medical doctors, right? I don't know what it means, full stop, simplicator, that the heart is functioning properly. Like that doesn't make any sense, because for what you have to do is now strip away the referent to a desire on normative talk, the same way that when you do taller talk, you have to strip out the reference to some other thing that it's taller than.
Okay, see, this is what I'm talking about. Again, the circular again. I'm not talking about size or shape.
Sorry, I didn't plug this in.
Okay.
I'm
Sorry, I
talking
was
about
plugging
things
in
that
first.
you know that a person is normally supposed to have.
We're not going to get anywhere with this if you're just going to...
Yeah, we're clearly not. I don't know what
No,
you're
we're not. I
missing.
mean, look, I'll let you give a closing, and we'll give a closing. I mean, mine's very easy. You seem to concede with the concept, and you seem to concede with the
I
characteristics
did
and
not
attributes.
concede with nothing. I mean, you just
Okay, well, that's
clearly
fine.
don't
You have a
what
chance
is
to
normal in
you have a chance
society
you have a chance
and
to
medical.
you have a chance to rebut in your closing. That's
I mean,
fine.
I just rebutted you.
No, well, I'm giving a closing, and then that's why I'm trying to do the nice thing and give you the last words. Like, I'm going to give a closing, and he's going to give a closing, and you're going to give a closing. And we're going to go on our merry way. This is just like how conversation should happen, in my opinion. So you'll get the last word. You'll get to say everything that you want to say, and it's fine. We won't retort. We'll just let you have the last word. But it's clear to me in this debate, it was clear to me that one, you ended up not only agreeing with the concept that we deploy, you agreed that people in the Wesley Snipe case or the fire hydrant case would have those characteristics, and that's what they mean by the term, which just validates that trans women are women by parity. And further, you had baked into the view on when you wanted to like take a step back on that women have to have some proper functionality, which is this notion to being a biological female in the body operating in a certain way. What's baked into that is an assumption, a metaphysical assumption of what's called normative realism. It's this notion that independent of what agents think or what society thinks, this thing ought to occur. And in this case, what ought to occur is that the body or organs should function certain ways. But I gave the analogy that kind of talk is like saying that tallerness doesn't have a referent to something that it's taller than. That's the same thing when you talk about goals or normative talk. I don't know what it means to say that there's like reasons that this thing should do something if it doesn't correspond to a desire of an agent or some group of people. It makes no sense to me. So one, it seems like you agreed. And two, it seemed like when you backed out of the agreement that your view that you now hold, it's not even clear it's propositional. It's not even clear it's something that can be true or false. And thus, it's not clear that it's something that could even be believed by you. And so, Annie, I don't know if you want to... Oh, you're good. So that's my closing statement. If you want to give a closing statement, I won't retort.
Yeah, I'll close it with, it's clearly you people don't understand the normalities of society, and when a medical condition which is normal in society is already being established, that you come out with all the other semantics as far as the tall, size, and shape, which clearly has nothing to do with a person's biology. What you typically supposed to know there are supposed to have to function as a human being. You just going in circles with size and shape.
Yeah, I didn't...
I mean, if you can't tell if a person is born with one eye, you clearly know that is not normal, and that is a medical condition, but you don't perceive that. You perceive with something else, which is clearly don't even make sense at all to be even thinking like that.
Okay.
And I'll blow out the candles on that right there.
That's fine. Yeah. If we have another conversation, the dispute between us is going to have to hone in on this normative realism stuff, because the normal talk is fine that you like hold that view that's normal or whatever. But what I need to get clarity in the future from you is that we don't share that concept of normality or that notion of proper functionality. And so there's a dispute between us. Yeah, there's a dispute between us. And so what has to happen in the dialectic next time is you're going to have to give a positive argument for normative realism.
That is a positive
That
argument.
isn't. It's just restating that it's true.
I
It's just
mean,
begging the question.
no, it's not. It
It
don't
is.
go
It
coincide
is.
with
I
what you believe
appreciate
in
it.
on
I
the
appreciate it. I'm not
physical.
going to get in the circle again. I appreciate it. Appreciate your time. I'm not going to get into the circle. Have a good night, or good morning. But yeah, I'm not. You should Google like normative realism or Google like moral realism, and that'll really everything that. It's the same criticism I have against people that say morality is objective. It's the same thing. I don't know what you're talking about. It's like stripping away the referent to tolerness when you talk about like this oughtness that has no referent to desires. It just doesn't make any sense. So you're gonna have to give a positive argument. I don't like people like having these assumptions of normative realism and then them get ignored because if you're gonna say that women's bodies or biological females' bodies ought operate somewhere, you better have a fucking argument for it.
All right. Well, I think we're done. I don't know if I'm still. I don't know.
I'm gonna get some rice.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're just gonna wrap it up there. But thank you all for being here. And if you don't already follow me, why not? Oh, thank you for the baby ghosts.
Live goal. Woo.
Oh, yay. Oh. W. Isaac, thank you.
Thank you. That's a good way to.
That was a really
It's a
nice
good way to
end
win.
on.
Yeah, it's a good way to end it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you all so much for being here. And I'll see you next time.
Thank you. And go easy on me. I'm new, guys. Go easy on me. DM me. Oh, yeah. Also, I'm like fielding corrections or things that I say wrong. That people are more, adept in the conversation and debate. I have a philosophy of religion background in debating, so yeah, I'm the new guy. I'm just kind of shy. I'm the new kid at the school, and so yeah, just just DM me, and if you have any corrections or anything, I'd like to hear them.
You gotta promote yourself. I don't know where to do
Oh,
it.
sorry. Yeah. You can find me. Just type in Jmike. Like I think it's _Jmike or something. And then watch Atheist Experience on Sundays. Yay! There's my plugs.
Okay.
Thank you, Anselica. Thank you, Amy. We're gonna. Yeah, sorry to the friendlies. We're gonna do lives with more people. I do like I feel like my friends hate me too because like I do lives and I'm like I'm trying to boost an audience and it always fails when I have multiple people. But I always like having multiple people, so I'm gonna do it. We're gonna do it soon. But we would in Silico, but I'm about dead with food. We've been up since like 4 a.m. and I have no food in my body, so I'm gonna go downstairs right this second before I die. But we'll be. I think we'll go live later, right? Yeah. I'm gonna get a few drinks in. It's _Jmike. And then if you're interested in content, you can just go on YouTube and type in Atheist Experience Jmike or Jmike. But yeah, so.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
See ya. Bye. Love y'all.